The story begins when Akan, Ken, and Mario are aggravated because the newcomer, who is our main protagonist, called Sakamoto, is getting everyone's attention. All of Sakamoto's school activities are done stylishly and elegantly. Akan's gang fixes a board eraser by the door. Some students try to confront them, but they're brushed off easily. Sakamoto opens the door but catches the eraser before it falls on him. Upon seeing this, his classmates cheer for him. The group follows him to the toilet. They attempt to pour a bucket of water over him, but Sakamoto surprisingly has an umbrella to cover himself. When he returns to class, he notices his desk is missing. His classmates offer to share their seat with him, but he chooses to pose stylishly by the window. The group is disappointed, so they decide to go violent for real. A student informs Sakamoto that the teacher wants him in the science room, so he makes his way there. Inside, he's met by Akan's gang. They take turns to suggest how to humiliate him. Akan decides to take a picture of Sakamoto looking scared. However, their cigarette catches fire, and in panic, they discover that they are trapped in the room. Everyone panics except for Sakamoto, who keeps his cool. He then begins stepping close to the fire repeatedly. The group thinks he is trying to put out the fire with his move, so they join him, but Sakamoto was simply making noises so the teachers below would notice. He takes the blame for the incident and leaves the group behind. However, they now see him in a different light. The next day, Sarah shows the ladies his modeling pictures in a magazine, but sadly they're not interested. He notices that Sakamoto is the of attention, so he plots to crush him. During classes, Sakamoto stands to answer a question. When he tries sitting, Sarah removes his chair, but Sakamoto doesn't fall down as expected. He makes another try during P.E, but Sakamoto dodges all his attacks. During classes, a hornet comes in through the window. Sarah thinks this is an opportunity to play hero. There's a commotion. The girls lock the boys inside to handle the situation. The teacher tells the class that bees are attracted to dark moving objects, so they remove their uniforms. Sarah mans up to attack the bee that has perched itself on Sakamoto's hair, but he shakes it off and the bee moves to attack Sarah, so Sakamoto intervenes. He engages the bee in a fierce battle and succeeds in sending it outside. The entire class cheers for him in amazement yet again. Sakamoto notices Kubota paying for protection, so he approaches him. Kubota asks for his help, saying he lied to get the money. Sakamoto finds a job for them in an eatery. Sakamoto is made to work in the register because of his good looks while he becomes a cleaner. The restaurant suddenly becomes busy as Sakamoto looks attract all the ladies. At the end of his first day, Kubota takes a liking to the job. The next day, his bullies come to the restaurant, so he tries to hide, but they notice him and tell him to meet them up at the park later. At the park, he gives them the money but changes his mind, so they beat him up, but he doesn't give in. However, Sakamoto arrives at the scene. He bullies the bullies and urges Kubota to do the same, which he gladly obliged, and they end up running for their lives. In class, everyone is crazy about Ina, but she only has eyes for Sakamoto, so she decides to get close to him. She tries a different approach, but he doesn't fall for any of them. She tries to play a game called Kokiri with him. However, some girls also hoping for Sakamoto's attention offer to join her. She isn't pleased with the interruption, but she has no choice but to let them play while Sakamoto observes. During the game, they let go of the coin, which is forbidden. The spirit of the game then possesses Sakamoto. They beg it to leave, so it tells them to build a sacred arch for it, or else it takes Sakamoto's body to the wild. The girls argue but later put aside their differences to work together to build the arch. The Kokiri spirit then leaves his body. The three girls befriend each other and Sakamoto reveals himself to be acting in order to get them to settle their differences. The senior year students make Akan their errand boy. However, they have included Sakamoto as an errand boy too. They call for Sakamoto, who delivers their needs in a fast and cool way. Kubota informs him that he is being used, but Sakamoto believes he has to obey his elders. Maruyama, the leader, continues calling for him to run errands, but Sakamoto seems to have a solution for every problem. He polishes his shoes, gives him massages, shaves his beard, and trims his nails. Maruyama decides to order Sakamoto to serve him of his own volition. Sakamoto begins appearing out of the blue whenever. He gets frightened by Sakamoto's weirdness and hides to avoid him. Even during hiding, Sakamoto is there to torment him with kindness. At the cafeteria, Akan is shocked to see him buying his food himself. Sakamoto tells Kubota that he was dismissed by Maruyama. Sakamoto tutors Kubota at home. He tells him to hide when he notices his mom coming into the room. This is because his mom is in love with Sakamoto. As he happens to fail his test, he asks Sakamoto to help him study. They go over to his house where Sakamoto offers her a gift. At that moment, she falls in love at first sight and begins doting on him. His mother notices Sakamoto is still in their house and searches for him while he avoids her in every way. She continues her obsession with him but gives up when Sakamoto fakes his exit. She settles for watching a TV series with an actor that looks like Sakamoto. The gym teacher is furious because Sakamoto always arrives at school at the last moment. So, he tries to dig up dirt on him. He sees Sakamoto with Akant's gang and thinks he must be smoking cigarettes, but he finds them blowing bubbles instead. He catches Sakamoto playing with brooms, but it turns out he was removing dust from the ceiling. He continues with his plot during lessons. He watches Sakamoto eating, so he tells him to stand in the hall. He feels great for finally scolding him. He goes to peek at him only to realize he deliberately faulted so he could feed a dying sparrow outside. During art class, everyone tries to choose him as a partner but Ina wins. They draw each other, but when he shows her his work, Sakamoto draws her as an orangutan. She's disappointed. However, when the portrait is tilted, she comes out as an angel. There's a fire outbreak in the school, so all the students assemble outside, except for Akan. Sakamoto goes in to rescue him. He lets him out through the window like a damsel, and he then proceeds to dive out of the building with a custom-made parachute. Later, Akan's group makes a pitfall and hides to see who'll fall victim. Sakamoto passes by and the pitfall collapses. They go to help him out, but Sakamoto isn't inside. After searching for him for 3 days, they go to Kubota for help. He tells them they are the ones being played by Sakamoto. They decide to go around asking for a student walking in his uniform, but everyone tells them they saw him. However, it turns out that it was several days ago. In the evening, they go back to the park to lament about Sakamoto's disappearance. They notice a child fall into the pit but comes out on his own. They go to observe it. But they notice Sakamoto's button in the hole, which has transformed into an endless pit. Akan thinks the hole is a portal to Brazil and that was where Sakamoto went. So he dives in. Meanwhile, Sakamoto has always been around but in a different outfit. He goes to the laundry place to get his uniform jacket back. Sakamoto finds Akan sobbing in the hole as he is delighted that Sakamoto is safe. During softball practice, Kubota stays far away from Sakamoto, but his throw gets to him and hits him on the face, causing a nosebleed. Sakamoto helps him stay upright, but the nosebleed doesn't stop, so he rips his shirt to stop the bleeding, and the girls can't stop admiring his exposed build. The delinquent second year led by Hayabusa stumbles on a group of girls fanning over Sakamoto. Maruyama gets traumatized after seeing Sakamoto again and tells Hayabusa to stay away from him. But Hayabusa is more interested now. He goes to Sakamoto's class to confront him, and tells Sakamoto to lend him his face, so he misunderstands and makes a cast of his face and hands it to him. The girls pounce on him to obtain the cast of Sakamoto's face, so he smashes it, and tells Sakamoto to meet him after school. Hayabusa's lackeys decide to make sure Sakamoto shows up, so they take his shoes and other properties, leaving a note each time that says he can get them back from Hayabusa. Frustrated that Sakamoto finds a way around each situation, they shave Kubota's hair to anger him. He goes to meet Hayabusa, but as they are about to fight, an officer stops them. Sakamoto tells him they were only playing a game of push sumo, and to everyone's surprise, the officer offers to be the referee, to which they accept and begin. The battle starts with Sakamoto doing a feint move. Hayabusa gets serious, but Sakamoto counters him. The fight keeps up for a while, so his underlings decide to help him win, but he stops them. He tells them he'll rather die than win with an underhanded method. Sakamoto unleashes a special move, so Hayabusa continues his attack. Sakamoto pushes him into a taxi that suddenly appears. He reveals the special move was to call the taxi. They apologize to Sakamoto, but he takes them to apologize to Kubota instead. They offer him some packages as an apology, so Kubota's mother makes dinner for the group. Sakamoto's class rep has a crush on him, but she settles for secretly taking pictures of him. When observing the pictures, she notices he is being followed by a poltergeist. She moves to tell him but stops because she'll have to show him the pictures she has been secretly taking. The ghost pushes a mopping tool behind him, but Sakamoto rides it stylishly along the hallway. Later, she approaches him, asking if he was experiencing anything strange. Sakamoto begins talking about completely normal things, but that moment, they notice something in the bathroom sink. She freaks out on seeing the black hair, but Sakamoto quickly picks it up to use as an extension for Kubota's growing hair. She decides to tell Kubota about the situation. He tells her that Sakamoto accepts everything as normal, and encourages her to open up to him. Later, she finds Sakamoto playing Butsumo, so she takes out her camera and captures the moment. When she checks the photos, she observes that the ghost was trying to pass a message. She quickly prints them out and runs to him to show him that the ghost is trying to tell him she likes him. Sakamoto tells her to help him out, but she doesn't know what for. She goes in to see him making copies of his face to make a response for the ghost. The copies are blown away along with Kubota's extension, and after that day, the ghost doesn't show up in her pictures anymore. But that's where the video ends. Let me know in the comments if you want me to cover part 2, and if you enjoyed watching this video, consider liking and subscribing for more like it. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time.